everybody. I wanted to do a little DVD review ramble. It's been a while since I've done one. First up is Ford versus Ferrari. If you are a fan of Formula One, which I very much am, it's a really interesting look at how the history of different companies changes the racing style and different drivers impacted style, how much control they have over changes to the car. It's really interesting. I would watch anything Christian Bale did. He could read the phone book and I would watch that. Does an excellent job as always. Matt Damon's alright. He kind of plays into goofy's too strong of a word, but sometimes I see him kind of downshift into this all-American dude character sometimes. It's okay. He's very good at it. It's just a little repetitive, but I would highly recommend this. It's got the little boy, and I think it's Noah Jupe might be his name. He played Shia LaBeouf in his story about his childhood, and he's so talented. Got some twist endings, more than one there. Can't give any of that away, but I really, really like this and recommend it. There's a really funny scene where someone important gets put in the car and goes much, much faster than they ever realized they would go, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes. I was going to say the best scenes, but one of my favorites. I really like it. So check it out. Let's see. I was checking if this is directed by Christopher Nolan. I was pretty sure it was, and it is. So in my, see every classic, wonderful, weird film personal journey I'm on, I've always had Memento on my list, a really good Christopher Nolan movie that is on almost every Cinefix YouTube channel's greatest movies list, and it did not disappoint. Even though there were a few spoilers that I'd picked up from watching things on the internet, ultimately I still really enjoyed the twists in this, and the ending. No matter how much you have spoiled for you, the ending is just mind-blowing, and it's very dark, but fascinating, which, pretty much sums up Christopher Nolan movies. He writes strange ideas, but I admire him for that. He doesn't seem to shy away from unique, strange ideas, and I think that's why he's so good at what he does. So I really, really recommend this. Just watched this one last night. Similar way I came across this. It shows up on a lot of good movie lists. It's Brothers with Tobey Maguire, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Natalie Portman, and you can't go wrong with that cast. I read on IMDb that Toby and Jake were originally interested in the opposite roles, in each other's roles, and that the director placed them opposite what their instinct was. And I think that works. And in the first couple minutes when you're introduced to each character and you see the role that they're in within this family, because obviously they are brothers, you do kind of go, oh, really interesting. Toby's going to play the clean-cut American hero soldier, and Jake Gyllenhaal's going to play the brother who's just getting out of prison. But I ultimately think with some of the growth that happens with their characters and changes that happens with their characters, I think it was very much the right idea. I would actually say it's a boring Natalie Portman performance. I didn't expect that. I think she's trying to go for quiet, but it kind of just comes off as like deer in the headlights a lot, which is funny because I absolutely, love her most of the time, but I think she gets a little bit outacted by the two gentlemen, and very suspenseful at times. It tries to comment on the ethics of the war in Afghanistan. I think it could have pushed it further, but I don't remember exactly what year this was made. Maybe it was more vocal for the time, but I think we could push that even further. There were a couple moments that dealing with how family members approach one another's mental health. I think there were seeds planted, but it could go even further. That just may have to do with, us being a little more open to talking about these things than when this was filmed. But really good, and very much glad that I watched it. I have a cousin who has recommended this movie for over a decade. Every time I see him, he talks about watching this movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Oh, wow. If you ever watched the early 90s show about, it was called Dinosaurs, and when there were these big like rubber suits that characters were in to play dinosaurs, it was the whole not the mama thing. There are several drug-induced scenes in this movie, and one of them just kept reminding me of dinosaurs. And this is very much part of a drug culture that is not part of my life, so I think it's part of my cousin's. I could see why this was maybe a lifestyle he was hoping to emulate or found very funny or aspirational or freeing. I just kind of found it stressful. I actually really, the most enjoyable thing for me was when the movie was over and I just went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole about the making of the movie and about the real lives of the people it's based on. I'd kind of heard the mythic tale of Johnny Depp immersing himself in this role. And of course, the guy's name that it's based on is escaping me at the moment. But yeah, just the style of journalism I also found fascinating but stressful. Just kind of going in and living with the Hells Angels, living with this rowdy group of was it motorcycle racing people? I don't know, but it was just all over the place. I love Vegas. I actually have only been there once, but I can't wait to go back. I really, really love it, and I can very much tell that, I do Vegas in kind of an old lady way compared to this, but am I glad I can check it off the list? Yes. Would I recommend it to anyone? I guess if you want to watch Pee-wee on drugs, go to town. Have a great weekend. Maybe you're supposed to have a cocktail and some other things when you watch it. I don't know. I don't know why, but every once in a while, I am just an absolute sucker for a preview, a commercial. And there was something about an ad for this telling of Cyrano, Cyrano de Bergerac. We watched it in French class in high school. I just thought, oh my gosh, Peter Dinklage, this is going to be so great. Directed by Joe Wright. And really, I did enjoy it. I thought it was sweet and tender. I thought it was beautifully shot. Peter Dinklage does a wonderful job. I think he really put a lot of time into preparing for this role. There is quite a lot of singing. I guess I don't know why that surprised me. Um, it is definitely a movie musical. Um, yeah, I would say check it out. It's maybe wait till it's on, you know, the sale section of the DVD rack, but I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was entertaining. It was a little clunky here and there, but you know, we can't all be Pride and Prejudice, so that's okay. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how the filming was organized around Peter being a little person, and how um, he was still shot in a way that I thought was very respectful and focused on the performance rather than a lot of two shots, you know, side by side. And um, I thought, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it felt like there was a lot of thought put into how to, as everything should, whether it's a difference in skin type, physicality, height, weight, as any character should be shot as though that's just a simple part of who they are, rather than this thing we need to notice a lot. I thought a lot of care was taken to shoot that very, very well. And you know, I was a little curious to see, because if you've ever seen the original Cyrano, I guess not the original, but the Cyrano I watched, there's a very large prosthetic nose that's often worn. That's kind of his odd thing about his body. But I was a little nervous to see, well, are they going to use his height as this overt physical deformity, when absolutely it certainly is not. And it just kind of, it was there, but I felt like it wasn't done in a circusy way. And not being a little person myself, I don't want to assume how someone from that community would feel. But to somebody outside the community, I thought it was done really respectfully. But yeah, let me know if someone in your life is a little person and felt differently, because that would be really interesting to know. I've rambled long enough about that. Okay, last up is certainly far and away the most expensive purchase on the list today. I have had this in my Amazon cart for about 3 years, just because it's such a great trilogy that they can charge an awful lot of money for it. I think it was about $100, and do I think it was well worth it? Yes, I very much do. Richard Linklater, however you want to say it, he's the director of Boy, which also stars Ethan Hawke. And when I saw that movie, which follows Patricia Arquette, Ethan Hawke, and two kids over the span of several years, and they filmed over several summers, and watching, you know, everyone grow up together. As I was learning about that movie and researching it, I realized that this had come before, that the director had already done a project of a similar scope and sequence, you know, shooting with time in between, following the same actors. And so the first, try to do this without giving anything away. The first one is called Before Sunset, and you meet Julie and Ethan's characters, and the rumor is that this was the story was crafted around a actual event in the director's life where he met someone, spent the whole day together, and then at the end of the day, are they going to go their separate ways? Are they going to figure out a way to be together? Are they going to meet up later? Just kind of a perfect romantic 24 hours together. So here's the hard part is, spoiler alert a little bit, is what happens after that perfect day. Do they stay together? Do they lose track of each other? Have they spent all this time together or apart? And you find out that they haven't been together, and you find out why. And so the question as that movie develops is, are they going to be truthful with each other about how they really feel about that decision? The decision was made, and kind of a second chance. So they were very vulnerable and honest all throughout the whole first movie. Do they have the courage to do that again? Are they going to share their feelings for each other and give it another try? So that's Before Sunset. And I would say Before Midnight is probably the most Gen X of the three to me. I think the other two could happen to anyone in any generation for sure, but this one felt decidedly how I hear my Gen X friends talk about relationships, and how sometimes marriage isn't everything that you've dreamt it would be. It's not as easy as you thought it would be, and the long and short term roadblocks that can come up, especially if and when children come into that equation, and most especially if some of those children aren't both of you are biological children. We're talking about step parents and exes and dealing with that, and the conundrum of who gets to make what decision, and what choices do you have as the spouse when you see a decision made that you don't agree with. Lots of passive aggression, feelings of guilt, a little bit of a trapped feeling in this one, which is just so interesting to put against the lustful, longing, youthfulness, naivete earlier in the trilogy. And when I first watched, when this one first ended, I thought, oh, really? That's how we went with that. Okay. A little pessimistic there, but as it marinated in my mind, I thought, well, I think that shows a maturity that comes with time, both as the director, the actors, and you as the viewer go through different things in your life, and that you kind of take off the rose-colored glasses a little bit. But also, I think when you really sit with it, even though there are periods in your life where things might be a little harder, a little more sour, a little more stressful and heightened emotions, it doesn't change what happened in the past. No matter the hardships that lie ahead, it doesn't change the beautiful good times that you've had together. And so I said I'd watch anything Christian Bale was in. I will watch anything that Richard Linklater directs. I think he's brilliant, and I think he's really committed to this style of filming over time, and I hope no one tries to copy it, because they can't possibly be as good at it as he is. He's a real master. And if you haven't watched Boy, is it Boy or Boyhood? It might be Boyhood. I really, really recommend that. I don't own that. I just saw it in the theater, but do I own it? Maybe I do own it. Do you ever have so many DVDs that you forget what you actually own. That talk about a privileged problem there. I do the same thing with craft supplies or clothes. I get so excited to get something, and then I squirrel it away, and then I forget I have it. That, again, talk about a privilege problem. All right, let me know if you have any films that I need to check out. And let me know in the comments what you've been watching at the start of the summer. And wherever you are, I hope you're having a wonderful time. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.